Canelo.
Fight, Canelo.
Good fight. I don't expect that from Rico, but maybe a good fight.
How did you score it?
He's going fast.
Tough to say.
Do you think it was an early stoppage?
That was an early stoppage. They robbed that guy.
What's next for Rico, do you think?
Okay, huh?
What do you think is next for Rico?
Dylan White. I think Rico should fight Dylan White.
Heavyweight boxing championship. Fights don't get, or titles do not get any more prestigious than this. Let the man go down to his knees.
Strong backlash came from several boxing professionals following the controversial early stoppage in the fight between Oleksandr Usyk and Rico Verhoeven. Among those speaking out, Michael Bisping criticized the referee's decision, saying the fight should have been allowed to continue. He argued that Verhoeven was still actively defending himself, keeping a tight guard, and did not appear to be in a condition where the bout needed to be stopped.
Bro, I don't know if that was corruption. I mean, it was... I mean, he dropped him badly. Rico was hurt. He followed up. I've seen stoppages like that a lot in boxing. But when you consider that this is for the undisputed, multiple titles as well, I believe. Heavyweight boxing championship. Fights don't get, or titles do not get any more prestigious than this. Let the man go down to his knees. Let him get dropped. I mean, it was a beautiful series of punches. Bump, 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 steps back here, uppercut as Rico was coming forward, falls to his knees, head through the ring, the ropes. Beautiful shot. Let's have a look at it here. Back it up. Boom. There it is again. And another one. Backs up again. 1, 2. Pop, pop, pop. Uppercut coming. There it is. I'm kind of devastated for Rico Verhoeven, to be honest. Yes, we have a personal relationship, but I'm a huge fan of Oleksandr Usyk. Everything about him, the way that he fights, the way that he carries himself, and obviously the career that he's had. I'm just a little disappointed for Rico going out there fighting like that, showing the heart that he did, and almost pulling off the upset because he was clearly ahead on the scorecards. And then to get dropped in round 11, get back to his feet, take a few more shots but not go down and the referee stop it. Nah, man. Nah. After going through 11 rounds of war, you're going to stop it because of that? I didn't like that at all. I didn't like that at all, man. I did not like that.
A wave of reactions hit X after the controversial finish, with several high-profile boxing names questioning the referee's decision and how the fight was handled. Jake Paul was one of the first to speak out, calling the moment one of the most shocking stoppages he had ever seen. He pointed out that Rico was seemingly controlling the action and winning round after round, and expressed disbelief at the timing of the referee's intervention. Despite being a known supporter of Usyk, he still insisted the outcome didn't reflect what was happening in the ring, adding that Verhoeven had been treated unfairly after what he described as a dominant performance. Adding to the criticism, Bill Haney also reacted briefly on X, labeling the stoppage as a poor and questionable decision. Shakur Stevenson echoed that sentiment, agreeing that the referee's call took away what many expected to be a decisive and meaningful ending, suggesting the bout was interrupted right before its natural conclusion. Meanwhile, veteran trainer Peter Fury also weighed in, stating that the stoppage felt unnecessary. In his view, the fight was still nearing its final stages, and the referee could have allowed the action to play out instead of stepping in early.
It's premature, but ultimately it's a stoppage, and we are where we are. But we're so close to I think there's 2 seconds left. You know, it should have been let go. But look, he's only a human being. He sees what he sees in there. Rico was tired, but really, we don't know what would have happened in the 12th round. But a minute's rest is a lot. He could have regained himself, and we could have went to the cards. Who knows?
With it being a World Championship fight, do you feel like it should have just been let to be gone on a little bit longer?
Look, Rico was there, he got a good shot. And the thing is, if it was like early on in the round, and Rico was all over the place and he went down again, yeah, you can understand it. But with 2 seconds left of a world title fight in the 11th round, yeah, it's a bit harsh.
The conversation around the fight continued to build as more names from the boxing world shared their thoughts on social media. Ryan Garcia commented before the result was officially clear, calling the situation unbelievable as he watched it unfold. He admitted that at one point he genuinely felt Usyk might be on the losing end, But everything shifted quickly once the contest reached its conclusion. Shortly after the stoppage, he added that a single clean shot can completely turn a fight around in an instant. Later, Derek Chisora also weighed in, saying that from his perspective Rico still looked steady when the referee stepped in and suggested he may have been unfortunate with how the ending played out. He further mentioned that if Rico chooses to continue his run, a potential matchup he would be interested in seeing is against Dillian Whyte.
Winning by the scorecards, big time. But you know what? Oleksandr hasn't been in the ring for a while. So, that fight there, I told you, I said it.
Well, a lot of people said obviously about 6th or 7th round, they reckon that Usyk would have stopped him. Could anyone have predicted a performance like that from Rico?
No. Listen, Rico, nobody knew anything about Rico. He came for some smoke.
Did his style surprise you at all?
Very surprised. Very, very surprised. He surprised everybody, even surprised Usyk.
Who do you reckon Rico fights next then?
Dillian Whyte.
Oh, that's not a bad shout.
Yeah, Dillian Whyte. What you have to understand now, Usyk hasn't been in the ring for a while, so he didn't lose a step. Yeah? So what happened there was this things taking his time. You know, if he's fighting a real boxer, if he fights this guy again next time, he knocks him out.
Do you think he underestimated him?
I think he didn't respect him until he realized he was in round, what round, 11?
Yeah.
And he was losing. He was like, losing behind.
You said they robbed him. Why do you think the ref stopped it?
That stoppage was wrong.
Do you think Usyk will take the rematch?
He's gonna have.
The debate over the fight continued to intensify as more voices added their perspectives online. Francis Ngannou also entered the conversation on X, stating that outsiders rarely come out on top in situations like this. He emphasized that in his view, Rico still deserved the win, making it clear and final in his comment. At the same time, combat sports journalist Ariel Helwani released the official scorecards after 10 rounds. He pointed out that 2 of the judges had the fight level, while the third had Rico leading by a single round, which further fueled ongoing discussion about one of the most controversial stoppages in recent memory. Former fighter Chael Sonnen also shared his thoughts, suggesting the stoppage raised questions in his view. He implied that Rico may not have been allowed to walk away with the title regardless of how the action played out inside the ring. He also referenced being on the move while hearing about betting odds shifting, which, in his interpretation, added to the idea that the outcome seemed predetermined. When he later learned the bout ended via stoppage instead of going to the judges, he found that development particularly significant.
That Rico was robbed? Do we have another word? Jake Paul called it gypped. I remember that from my youth. Okay. He was. This was bad. I was in a conversation with a friend who lives in Canada. I was on an airplane. I was kind of getting a blow-by-blow. I had front row Brian and Ian Parker, Joseph Dowd feeding me information, and Joseph is telling me, hey man, the line is changing. This thing is going to, Usyk's going from the favorite to the underdog, like in in-game betting. I'm saying as much money as you can get together, go and put on Usyk. No matter what you think you're watching. They will not let Rico leave there with the championship. This is what I was telling Joseph, and Joseph going, man, they got no way to rob him. The math, they're running out of time. And basically, Ian Parker is telling me the same thing. And then Front Row Brian is sharing with me, hey, they're doing something called open scoring. And they just announced that they've got this thing tied up.
At the same time, Chael Sonnen drew a clear line between corruption and simple poor judgment in officiating. He acknowledged that boxing often gets criticized with accusations of corruption, but stressed that such claims should be backed by solid proof. To support his point, he referenced other combat sports and explained that real corruption would require visible coordination or direct signals, showing that an official had been instructed in advance. In his view, there was no evidence of that kind of setup in this situation. Instead, he suggested the more likely explanation was human error or bad decision-making rather than any intentional wrongdoing. His overall message was that controversial calls should not automatically be labeled as corruption without clear, supporting evidence.
For great conspiracy theorists, you do have to run into the problem of how. There was an MMA organization in Japan known as Pride, and Pride was fixed. But the how was very obvious. It was very easy to conclude. The referee had an earpiece in. The exact same as a professional wrestling referee has an earpiece in. So the decision makers in the control room, known as production, are feeding to the referee what to do. If we're going to say that this referee was corrupt, we're going to have to prove that somebody gave him a signal. Somebody had to give him a signal. Otherwise, he's incompetent. But there's a massive difference. We live with incompetence in everyday affairs. Corrupt is very different. Now you do have the judges as well. The judges looked like they were very much in line to do the job. And that's what they would have been brought there to.
Devin Haney also weighed in on X, expressing his surprise at Rico's physical strength, noting that he clearly carried real power during the exchanges leading up to the stoppage. Meanwhile, Canelo Alvarez offered a more measured take during an interview. He explained that the situation may not be as straightforward as many fans online were suggesting. In his view, referee stoppages are often based on what the official is witnessing in real time inside the ring, rather than how things appear from the outside or on replay.
Good fight.
How did you score it? Keep going fast.
Tough to say.
Canelo, early stoppage that?
Huh?
Was that an early stoppage? You know which car?
I don't think so. I think they say a brutal knockout.
Who's next for Usyk?
All the best for Usyk.
Who do you want to see him fight next?
Huh?
Who's next for him?
Oh, he can fight whoever. He's one of the best.
At the same time, Bill Haney reiterated his stance with a sharp reaction on X, questioning whether Usyk's camp had properly prepared for the opponent. He added that no one can truly outsmart boxing itself, implying that Rico's approach and pressure may have been seriously overlooked before the fight. Elsewhere, Wade Plemons shared a more emotional response, admitting that the result left him second-guessing his understanding of the sport. He expressed confusion over the outcome and suggested that the way the bout was officiated raised bigger questions about consistency and judgment at the elite level of boxing.
I'm questioning everything, especially the sanctity of the sport, I'll be honest, after what I just saw. So the fight starts, and Oleksandr Usyk looks flat. He looks slow. He looks too big for his own weight, for his own body. Like, he's moving to heavyweight, and he's been at heavyweight now for a while, but it doesn't look like his body. Maybe it's the age. He's 38 years old. Or maybe Rico Verhoeven with his 1820s, me, myself, and Irene boxing style was whooping that ass for Usyk. Maybe that's the reality of this. Maybe it wasn't just Usyk bad, Rico takes advantage. Maybe it was just the fact that Rico Verhoeven showed a high-level athlete that's been training with Peter Fury for 15 years, can take off one of the weapons he has, or multiple in this case, the legs, the elbows, the knees, and say, you know what, I'm still good with these. I'm still gonna come in and rock your with these ones. This was the biggest proof that boxing as a sport is on, I don't know, life alert? Like, how do you let someone come into your sport as one of the greatest? And this isn't a Tyson Fury that was 300 pounds and Francis Ngannou that was being overlooked. Usyk was saying, I train like I trained for Fury, like I trained for AJ, like I trained for Dubois, for Rico Verhoeven. And we know that Usyk lives the life. He's not out, drinking, doing whatever. He is in the gym constantly. And I'm telling you, the sport of boxing, y'all should have hit the panic button with both hands, dude. Donkey Kong, Hulk smash that. Because this is an exposure on the sport in general. This isn't, it's not, it was a fluke when Francis did it. Now we have Rico Verhoeven doing it against supposedly the best there is. Is boxing a fraudulent sport? Has my whole life been a lie?
Dylan Dennis reacted with intense frustration, describing the situation as the most unfair and fixed outcome he had ever witnessed. He went on to say he was done with watching boxing altogether, insisting that Rico Verhoeven had outclassed one of the sport's top fighters, but still ended up on the wrong side of the result. Nate Diaz also shared his perspective, suggesting that critics would likely downplay the performance by blaming condition or preparation. He argued that the fighter in question often receives excuses from supporters, while anyone who questions it gets labeled as a hater. Adding a technical breakdown, analyst Marcos Villegas reviewed the closing moments of the round and pointed out that the action was nearing its end with Rico still looking calm and in control. In his assessment, there was no obvious need for the referee to step in at that exact point, implying the bout could have safely continued instead of being stopped when it was.
Oh, man. It's just because the round was about to end. I don't know. Man, reminds me, like, it's not even, okay, like Chavez and Mildred Taylor, it was a bad knockout. Like, this one, though, it seemed, he was taking damage, was Rico, but he seemed like he still had his faculties of him, that he was still aware that he could still control himself. And he was evading punches too. Yeah, I don't know, man. He might have gotten a lucky break there, Usyk, with that stoppage. Wow. I knew that uppercut was going to bite Rico in the butt. Oh, good uppercut. There goes the mouthpiece. Rico through the ropes. Bink! He seemed like he was avoiding punches. Give Rico the chance to, But the ref's in there. The ref's seeing stuff that we're not seeing. Maybe these punches were taking a lot more effect. So showing the replay, that punch didn't even land. For one, like, Rico fought the freaking fight of his life. Like, he was winning this fight. Usyk max won 4 rounds up until that point of that 11th round stoppage. Just seemed off. He wasn't throwing as much. He wasn't using his feints as much. He wasn't going to the body. I don't know if he was like befuddled by Rico's size, his length, constant movement, constant just being busy. I don't know, maybe Rico's power was, we're not giving enough credit to Rico's power, but Usyk either he seemed off or just, I don't know what was going on there. Man, I would be too, man. Rico's super bummed out. He's winning the fight. I want to hear the scorecards, but he's winning the fight by point.
Shakur Stevenson criticized the referee's decision, arguing that Usyk only fully increased his intensity when it mattered most. He suggested the official played a role in how the fight ended, but also added that there was no guarantee Usyk wouldn't have finished the job himself given the time remaining. He described it as an off night for Usyk and questioned whether he was in peak condition. Jake Paul posted again with an even bolder claim, suggesting Rico Verhoeven was greater than Usyk. He acknowledged his respect for Usyk, but still used the moment to highlight how stunned he was by the outcome, capturing the split and chaotic reactions across fans and fighters online. Meanwhile, heavyweight veteran Dave Allen offered praise for Rico's performance and pushed back on some of the criticism being aimed at him. He noted that even if Usyk wasn't at his absolute best or was affected by age, Rico still deserved recognition. In his view, Verhoeven's awkward movement, durability, fitness, and consistent pressure throughout the fight made him a very difficult opponent to handle.
Give a lot of credit to Rico, can say Usyk passed it, out of shape, whatever. Verhoeven was really impressive. And the fact that he can set such a high pace at heavyweight, he's fit and tough. And he's awkward, it's just awkward. Peter just gets something so fit and awkward. And if you're fit and awkward and tough to go with it, you're a nice man to beat. Rico would be up for any heavyweight, really. Be really, really awkward. So the stoppage, I think it was early, to be honest. I think big fights, the referee shouldn't be stopping it on the feet. Like my stoppage last week. Shouldn't be getting stops in main event.
Dave Allen said the referee stepped in too quickly during the stoppage. In his opinion, he explained that in high-stakes bouts, officials should generally be more cautious about ending a fight while a competitor is still upright and capable of continuing. While he made it clear that fighter safety remains important and that he usually prefers intervention sooner rather than later, he still felt Rico Verhoeven should have been given additional time to respond and try to work his way back into the contest. In the end, he described the decision as an incorrect stoppage in his view.
Referee, for whatever, fight shouldn't be getting stopped on the feet. He'd not been over. He'd not been over. Rico had not been on the floor. And to be honest, I had him in front. Didn't score it. I felt like, I'm not sure whether it was the shock factor but I had him in front. And it was early. For me personally, I think the writing was on the wall, but I think his performance, am I about to get told off? No. I think his performance and the fact that he possibly could have been on the cards, the referee won't know, I don't think, but he's on his feet like for me.
The closing reactions came in with even more intensity as the discussion around the decision continued to grow. Adam Martin reacted firmly to the outcome, pointing out that Oleksandr Usyk entered the fight as a massive minus 5,000 favorite on the odds and was still behind on the scorecards after 10 rounds against a kickboxer with only a single boxing bout to his name. He argued that the result reflected a sense that the sport did not want its established star losing to someone so new to boxing, claiming that Verhoeven ended up on the wrong side of the decision and describing it as a deeply controversial outcome. Veteran analyst Teddy Atlas also weighed in, saying the finish only added fuel to the ongoing debate about refereeing and stoppages in boxing. He acknowledged Usyk's toughness, but questioned whether the referee may have acted too quickly in bringing the contest to an end against Rico Verhoeven. While emphasizing that fighter safety must always come first, he noted that moments like this often leave audiences feeling unsatisfied, as if the fight never truly reached its natural conclusion. He added that Verhoeven had shown enough durability to keep going and likely deserved the opportunity to see the final bell in such a competitive matchup. At the same time, Atlas recognized Usyk's ability to shift momentum at key stages of the bout, suggesting that this may have influenced the referee's judgment in real time. Overall, he described the situation as another clear example of how split-second officiating decisions can reshape the entire narrative of a fight, leaving one side convinced of victory, while the other questions whether the outcome was truly fair inside the ring.
Atlas here. Okay, let's get to it. My version of what just took place with Verhoeven and Usyk. Couple things here. All credit to Verhoeven. I mean, he was in shape. He's a big guy. He's got a lot of experience, not in boxing, kickboxing, but still, a lot of experience being comfortable in an uncomfortable environment where there's fear, where there's a threat involved. That matters. And he was awkward, moving his hands up and down, piston-like, charging forward, smothering Usyk in many cases. Usyk was not able to pull the trigger. Look, I think there was a little bit of Ngannou and Fury element here, where element of surprise, where Usyk was caught by surprise, not really ready mentally or physically, not in top shape. He was beefy looking, looked like he was lifting weights more than he was doing maybe traditional boxing training. Either way, credit to Verhoeven, but Usyk not at his best, picked it up when he had to at the end. And look, the stoppage, yeah, no doubt about it, the bell had rang. But the referee also gave a lot of time to Verhoeven to recover, wasted a lot of time there. And I don't think there's any doubt Usyk would have stopped him the next round.
Shannon Sharp also joined the discussion, giving his reaction to the controversial early stoppage and sharing his perspective on how the fight was brought to an end.
To get back to his feet, but was on shaky legs with 10 seconds left, but was battered by a barrage of violent punches by Usyk. Rather than allow Verhoeven to continue into the final round, referee Mark Lyson called the fight off seemingly after the bell sounded, earning Usyk the stoppage win at 2:59 of the 11th. Two judges had to fight 95-95, while the other judge had to fight 96-94. Ocho?
Yeah.
What you think?
At times like this, I know fighters. You know the mentality that they have, whether it's MMA, whether it's boxing, well, hell, whether it's combat sports in general.
Yeah.
Most of the time, you want to go out on your shield.
Absolutely.
You want to go out on your shield, Joe. But in this case, sometime a referee or sometime your goddamn corner needs to save a fighter from himself and getting unnecessary.
And that wraps up today's coverage. Make sure you stick around for the next update.